Hey, welcome back to You Sure Talk a Lot. I'm Ryan, and in the last video, I was just posting that I'm on a fitness journey. I want to talk a little bit about what I'm going to be using to track my fitness goals and some of the equipment that I have available to me to get fit and healthy again. So I'm a big believer, first of all, in tracking, in using apps or gadgets and spreadsheets to track metrics because one, I have time. Now that I'm retired, I have time during the day. I can be slow and thorough and somewhat methodical in my logging in a spreadsheet or in a journal. So the main thing that I'm using, I guess the biggest tool that I think everyone should probably be using is some kind of journal, digital journal, or a notebook. For me, I've gone digital. There's a website called Penzu, PENZU.com, that's free. That's just like a Dear Diary type daily writing app. It's really clean and simple and basic, and it doesn't cost me anything. And so I log everything that I'm doing during the day. I log all my meals, what I'm eating. I'm tracking how many calories are in those meals, including grams of protein, and the times that I eat them, which means I'm also capturing my eating window. After dinner, my last bite was at 4:30. That's when the clock starts ticking for fasting. And if I wake up and have breakfast at 9:30 the next morning, I can calculate the number of hours. So I'm logging all of my food and the times and not all the macros. I'm capturing protein and total calories because I've got a range. I'm trying to eat about 2,000 to 2,200 calories a day, which is actually difficult for me to eat that many. For a lot of people, that would seem like a few, but for me, it seems like a lot because I'm only eating within a 6-hour window, which means in those 6 hours, I'm eating almost constantly in order to get enough calories and protein. But if you're eating whole foods, which for me, my diet these days is mainly chicken breasts, salmon, or other kinds of fish, and ground beef and steak for my main protein sources. Oh, and I just started buying sardines and eating sardines. Oh, and of course I eat vegetables and a little bit of rice and beans. And I'm not going crazy on the carbs, eating a ton of avocados for the healthy fats and cheese and some bacon and things like that. So mostly like a keto diet, but I'm not being crazy strict on the carbs. I'm just keeping them within reason. But without calorically dense food, it's hard to get in a lot of calories. So I'm tracking all that in an app called Penzu. My Fitbit right here is, of course, tracking all of my steps, all of my exercise activity. And while it's not wildly accurate as far as number of calories burned in a day, if it knows your weight, which I'm inputting into it via my smartphone Fitbit app, and your height and your age and all that, it can estimate your overall BMI and it can calculate roughly how many calories you're burning in a day. So every time I get on my treadmill, I log that I'm doing a walk or a treadmill session, an incline walk, or a trail walk out here on my land. I've been walking out here first thing every morning. I already did my morning walk today. And if I'm doing a calisthenics or strength training session, I'll capture most of those. So while it's not crazy accurate, directionally it is. So I really like my Fitbit, even though I've got some gripes with it. I'm also tracking a lot of those same stats in an Excel. I have a simple little spreadsheet where I just track my total calories burned in a day according to the Fitbit and how many total calories I ate that day so I can figure out my caloric deficit. I'm aiming for a 900 to 1,000 calorie deficit so I can lose about 1.5 to 2 pounds per week, which is mostly on track for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Except now I'm starting to add a little muscle and the scale's not dropping as fast as I would like, but that's just a mental thing I have to get over. And I'm logging how many hours I'm fasting at night, aiming for 18, although I think today reduced that down to about 17 or 16 because it's been tough to eat enough in that eating window to get the calories that I want. And my calorie count is coming in a little bit low. Of course, I have a treadmill, which I'm going to take into my gym here in a moment and show you the treadmill. But of course, it tracks every time I walk on it, which is about 4 times a day, usually a morning walk. And then after every meal, I'm trying to do 15 to 30 minutes after every meal to keep my hormones in check and keep from having too big of an insulin spike or a glucose spike. By walking, you're pulling glucose into your muscles, essentially, which keeps them out of unavailable to go into body fat. So it's a good way to just regulate your hormones, keep everything functioning, fast metabolism, and all of that fun stuff. And the treadmill will tell me if I do a half-hour walk, for example. My treadmill might say I did 200 calories burned. My Fitbit often says I burned 280. So I assume the truth is somewhere in the middle there, and it can help me average out a little bit. But obviously the treadmill can only help me calculate calories for things that I do on the treadmill. And I just bought a fancy GE scale with one of those handles that uses electrical impulses to attempt to measure your body composition. I had a cheapo bathroom scale that someone gifted to me that I didn't trust, so I decided to invest $100 in a higher end scale, even though I'm going to be traveling and away from it. The scale is more accurate, and it's telling me that as of today, I'm 189 pounds even, and you hold the little handle, you put your thumbs on the sensors, and it has 4 sensors in the base. You've seen them. They're all over Amazon, anywhere from 40 to $100, but I bought a pretty good one. And it will tell me right down to my amount of visceral fat, amount of subcutaneous fat here on my belly, and everywhere under your skin, which is what subcutaneous fat is. It will tell me skeletal muscle mass. It'll tell me bone density, how much water. Basically, it'll attempt to estimate exactly what your body composition is between fat, muscle, bone, and water. And while it's not the most accurate thing in the world, I think like the Fitbit, it's directionally accurate. And right now it's telling me I'm down to 23 roughly percent body fat, which when I started, I was closer to 30. So I've already lost a good chunk of body fat, which is really nice. As you can see, I still got some thickness here and a long ways to go, but my belly was almost twice as big when I started 6 weeks ago. So it is coming off fast. My point is, those types of scales I think are directionally accurate. So if you're using it for months on end and you see the numbers trending down as far as your body fat percentage, and it tells you that your muscle mass is going up, while it may not be accurate, you can know that you are actually losing weight and adding muscle, which is my overall goal. I'm also using a tape measure to measure the circumference of my chest in a belly measurement. I'm definitely seeing belly went down from 42 to 30, sub 39 now. And I think within 2-3 weeks, it will be right at about 38 and moving towards 37. My immediate short-term goal is to get it closer to 36, which is, it's still not fit, but it is my historical norm. And then I did go and do a DEXA scan. It's a service that you can get in almost any big city or moderate-sized town. Often there are machines that are in a van and they're mobile stations, and you can schedule appointments online. You just go find the van. But it's essentially just a table that you lay down on, and it does a quick head-to-toe scan of you. It only takes about 10 minutes to do, and it is the gold standard for all things body composition related. So it measures all the same things as the scale: your muscle mass, your subcutaneous fat, your visceral fat. But it's a $100,000 piece of equipment probably, and it's extremely accurate. It's considered the most accurate measurement. So when I was in Dallas a few weeks ago, I did my first one. It was about $60, so reasonably affordable. So I'm using my GE scale to get me in the ballpark and to show me the trend, but I assume the numbers are off. But then when I go and get my follow-up DEXA scan, which I'm going to do closer to the end of the year, hopefully I'll see a big change. I think when I went and got it, I was at 31% body fat. And now if the scale is right, I'm down to 23% body fat. And by the end of the year, hopefully I'll be closer to 12 to 14% body fat. And hopefully it will show me that I put on 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle, which is the goal. Those are some of the tools that I'm using to measure my progress. I might be going overboard just a little bit since I am a dork and I like statistics and I like tracking things via a spreadsheet. I got about a dozen spreadsheets going at any given time. Now, when I start traveling and I've got days that I'm flying or on the plane or on the bus or whatever, or away from my laptop, I can't track quite as closely, but I'll still, of course, wear the Fitbit, which will track my calories, and I'm going to do my best to estimate food intake as far as I won't know protein, but I can estimate calories. And since I'm going to Asia, there's no shortage of street food that is essentially a protein, a little bit of rice or noodles, and a whole bunch of like stir fry vegetables. Whether it's Thai, Indian, Japanese, those countries serve smaller portions, and for a buck or two, you can get a relatively fresh, very healthy meal that meets the macro requirements to keep me on track. So if I just eat 3 relatively modest meals a day that are mostly vegetables and protein with a little bit of carbs from the noodles and the rice and maybe potato, I can assume I'm getting about 2,000 calories a day. And if I'm walking a lot and doing some strength training, I know I'll be burning closer to 3,000 calories a day, sometimes even more. I've burned as high as 3,600 calories in a day lately. You don't want to have too big of a calorie deficit, but you also don't want too small. So my goal is to switch my eating style, my lifestyle into just a more movement, more active lifestyle. And while I'm doing that overseas, I won't be able to track my metrics quite as closely. But again, I can estimate, and if the belly fat is going down and I feel stronger and I'm able to walk 10 miles a day and not be winded, I'll be on track and doing good. All right, I'm in my home gym now. And this wide angle camera lens, by the way, is good at getting me, but it's not so good at getting background stuff. So if anything's blurry, I apologize. But essentially, this is my main piece of equipment, which is this Nordic Track treadmill. It cost me about $550 on Amazon. It's got some good cushioning to the deck, and it goes up to all the way to 10 on the incline. So I spend a lot of time on this treadmill, and that is my main piece of equipment. As far as strength training goes, I have this bench here and those weights, and normally the bench is under the weights for doing bench press and incline press and things like that. But I also have these dumbbells. I keep they're 25 pounds right now, right? Got 2 of those, but I have a whole lot of 5-pound plates and 2-pound plates, 2.5-pound plates, laying around so I can bump them up or down. But most of my strength training is just bench press, dumbbell presses, some rows, overhead press, things like that. And even though it's hard to see because it's black on black, I've got a easy curl bar here with about 30 pounds on each side. And I use that to do curls and overhead press. And this thing, if you ever seen one of these before, no, it's not a walker, it's the rack. It's like a dip station, and it's got these different hand positions for doing push-ups, so I can demonstrate. So basically, it's a push-up rack. Ooh, I can knock out 10 of those. Then I can move my hands here to this more narrow position, knock out some of those. And then I've got a super narrow, which these are much more difficult because it's inner pecs and shoulders. Push-ups like that. And you can also vary your position like that. So I have stressing the left side, stressing the right side, that kind of thing. So that's my essential equipment, and a big ass yoga mat right here for all things stretching and yoga related. I do some planks on it to work my core. I can only hold a plank for about 15 seconds, but it's a start, and you got to start somewhere, right? I've got, important when I'm on the treadmill, I've got Alexa, play music.
Here's a mix for you on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop playing music. Don't want to get a copyright violation. But I have my Alexa Echo thing here in the room, and I can just talk to it depending on what kind of musical mood I'm in. It will play whatever I want, which is important to keep me entertained while I'm on the treadmill. So between the yoga mat and the rack, the weight bench, the curl bar, the bench press, and the treadmill, I have most of the basics covered. Oh, TRX straps too. I'll have to give you guys a quick demo of these. But I've got these straps right here with handles for doing all kinds of body weight exercises. There's all kinds of exercises I can do here. The one I do most commonly is a combination air squat with using my arms to pull me up. And so I'm using, like, depending on how I hold my arms, I can actually curl myself up and make this more like a curl, Or if I come down, I can use about half legs and half arms to pull myself up. Or I can do it like this and do a row, which exercises my back. So this is more of a cardio thing. So by knocking out a bunch of squats and using my arms to pull myself up, I'm giving myself a whole back and leg workout. And if you can do 20 or 30 of these pretty fast, it gets the heart rate up real high. And of course, you can lengthen or shorten the straps, and by moving your feet placement, you can make the angle easier or harder. So that's essentially my home gym setup. Pretty basic, pretty simple. One of my favorite places to work out is on my deck. Oh, by the way, it's not equipment, but out there I've got trails. Every morning I go out there and I do about a mile walk on my own trails. I have to do a couple loops to make it a mile. But it's really nice to be able to go out for a walk on your own land, and it's quiet, and I enjoy nature and the birds and the critters, and it brings my cortisol levels down. Often people's cortisol is elevated first thing in the morning. So by going for a quick 10, 15, 20-minute walk right off the bat every morning, it just connects you to the land and brings your cortisol levels down. I also have this pair of dumbbells right here, these hexagonal dumbbells, which are not exciting in and of themselves, but I use them to do push-ups. And so throughout the day, if I've been resting for too long, for more than say an hour, and I know I need to get moving and I don't want to go for a long walk, I will come out here and I will bust out what I call prison push-ups, which is partial reps, like going for a pump, because right now focusing on my chest is one of the things I need to improve. And I'm starting to work my pecs several times per week, but every day I'm doing 50, 60, sometimes up to 100 push-ups right there using those dumbbells. I'll show you what I mean by a prison push-up, and it's working great. My pecs are pumped and getting stronger, and my ability to do push-ups has gone up significantly just in the last 3 weeks. Can you see? There, it's a little better. So prison push-up just is a partial rep, like this. Not a full lockout like that, and not even all the way down, but just mid-range. So those are prison push-ups. So I'll come out here and I will do some push-ups, and these are only 20-pound dumbbells. I will curl them. I'll do overhead presses, and I've also started lately doing farmer carries and suitcase carries, which is essentially just picking up either these 20-pounders or going to get the 25-pounders from my home gym and just walking around with them to build core strength and grip strength and just overall improve my level of fitness. Farmer carries are great. They build your traps, your back, your core, your legs. So I'm gonna need some more weight at some point. 25 pounds in each hand isn't enough. I think I'm gonna need 35-pounders, but I have ordered a 35-pound kettlebell, which will be here in a couple days, and I can start using that. So of course I leave for Asia, and then I'm leaving all of my equipment behind. Oh, I also have about a 12-pound steel bar that I put over my shoulders and I do twists. So just basic stuff that I have around the property in a basic home gym. That's all I need. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I'm working with, and you'll see more of all of that in the coming videos as I'm actually using all of this equipment. All right, see you soon. Bye.